Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free.
Okay, next question.
I'm a horse football coach right now.
You know, it got shoved up, shoved it up. It got shoved, right?
Let's go kick some ass!
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 24 of the Spartan Savants show. Back on the hosting duties after a brief, depending on how you look at it, or long hiatus. It is, of course, your boy Willie, joined by two of the best Spartans to ever do it, Nick Homburg, who is monitoring our message boards, looking out for any hot news coming in on potential MSU commitments, transfer portal, or recruiting. And of course, Travis Tyler. Travis, we got a shout out to the College Huddle. Is that right?
Yeah, you can you can check us out on the collegehuddle.com. We are the official Michigan State podcast, one and only representative for Michigan State in the College Huddle, which is a collaboration of national college independent college sports podcasts. Find it at the collegehuddle.com.
Nikki, starting with you, how we doing?
Oh, Willie, I'm doing pretty well. I'm deep in duty right now, just
I can tell.
sailing the boards, trying to find rumor after rumor.
The
After
message
just
boards are
landing Ben
back.
Roberts, I mean, we're in great
Big
shape.
worm.
Yeah, we're going. Big
Yeah,
worm.
Big worm, baby. I love
We're
it.
fishing.
Yes.
We're fishing. We're using worms. We're getting the bait. There we are.
That's right. The message boards are back. I found myself not quite as locked in as I was when the Urban Meyer rumors were hot and spicy, but I have been dabbling back in. It's starting to be that time of year again. And of course, Travis, how are we doing out there?
I mean, better with these commitments in here. It takes a little, I joked about a downward spiral a couple weeks ago. Turns out I wasn't totally joking. So we'll get into
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely.
It's good to have the distractions.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of downward spiral, I think a lot of people were looking at all the outgoing names for MSU and felt like we were in a little bit of a downward spiral. But I think letting the dust settle a little bit, and we'll get into it all today. But I feel like everything's in a better place in terms of where the football roster stands and everything like that. But certainly some of the national writers out there, not I don't want to say they're not doing their jobs, but certainly not paying full attention to what's going on in East Lansing. But before we get into all the football, so we got an action-packed show. I'm going to talk about some basketball a little bit, talk about some 2025 recruiting. We'll get into a lot of the portal stuff that's been going on over the past couple of weeks with the spring window just closing. We'll get into a little bit of Lions. Jared Goff, big signing schedule just released. Lots to talk about there. And of course, everyone's favorite segment, Miss the Vist, to end the show. But I want to start out with basketball. MSU landing a much sought after position by the fan base, I'll say, in the 5 spot. Simon Zapala, coming over from Longwood University out of Virginia, who I believe was in the tournament as a 16th seed this year.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think he was at Utah State for 3 years prior to that. 7-footer, averaged 9.8 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, just around a block. Obviously, the fans have been clamoring for this. And Izzo granted our wish, albeit from a mid-major, minor major. I wouldn't even know where to begin, where Longwood stands there. But Nick, I'll throw it to you first. Give me your thoughts here on just an instant reaction from the commitment from Zapala.
Look, some people are just such assholes. Like the first thing I saw when I went online and saw that this guy committed was like, really, Longwood? And just complaining like, oh, that's who we got? Like, come on, we got a 7-footer. We've been asking for this. Like, I don't know. Izzo's the kind of guy who goes after his kind of guy, for better or for worse. And I'm just happy he got someone, to be honest.
Agreed. Trav, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. All these people that wanted like this big name, superstar center, that's not what we were going to get. Izzo recruits for development. He's one of those guys that just likes his guys, like Nick said. And what we were going to get is exactly what we got. It was the depth center. Now, add him in with Cooper and Kohler, and Zapala, from what I've watched, is a little more offensively gifted than those guys, which is a good thing. And can flow a little bit better and actually, create something a little bit in the post, especially. I don't know. I know it was a mid-major, but those numbers at 9.8 points per game in just 16 minutes on the floor, that's something we would take in a heartbeat.
I agree. I think you guys both hit the nail on the head. And I think, couple thoughts. I think Fiddler was a bigger splash than probably most would have thought. And I don't know what the NIL commitment was there, but I know that battle seemed pretty intense when it came down to Wisconsin. I can't forget the other school. I can't remember the other school that we were
Nebraska and Creighton.
Nebraska.
Creighton,
That's
I
right,
think,
Creighton.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, three pretty big time schools there in terms of basketball. Nebraska certainly on the up and coming. But I think anyone thought that after signing Fiddler, Izzo was going to go after a big time. First of all, I don't even know how many top tier fives that were left, but
Not many.
anyone that thought Izzo was going to make another big time splash, I think that that's just someone who maybe is wishful thinking, pie in the sky, or they just don't understand Tom Izzo and how he builds a
Exactly.
roster. Having said that, I think this bringing in this transfer is pretty revealing as to where Izzo stands on the current roster. He's obviously showing faith in Kohler and Cooper to hold down that 5 spot. I see this more as an insurance pickup. And having said that, this guy he's 7 feet tall. I mean, I'm never going to say no to someone who's 7 feet tall unless their name is Matty Sissoko. 9.8 points per game, 5.6 rebounds. So productive player. MSU could have really used that out of a 5 spot last year. Not to say that's going to, playing whatever conference Longwood is in is going to transfer directly to the Big Ten. I certainly think there's a higher level of competition there. But I don't think this is a nothing. Certainly sounds like he has a little more offensive skill than Sissoko, better hands, so we can rely on him to catch the ball. So, I'm not going to sit here and I think people that want to complain about it just want to complain about something. I think we asked for a 5, we got our 5. The bigger need really was the spot that Fiddler, a shooter.
Yes.
And in the end, you weren't going to rebuild this entire roster through the transfer portal. Really, we're going to be counting on Booker. Akins is going to have to step up big time. And then of course, the point guard role with Fierce Jr. So, I think going into this, kind of basketball, I guess the season's the roster's pretty much set. It's a question mark type roster. I mean, it's not going to have the expectations of last year, and maybe that's a good thing. But I'm not going to knock Tom Izzo for getting the insurance 5 that we needed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Anyways, that's basketball. I'm still hurt from this season, so I'm ready to move on from basketball if that's all right with you guys.
Please.
It was a long season and I'm still
recovering,
fresh, if we're being honest. Yeah.
I have just
still
not
fresh.
thought about it at all.
There's
I'm
still
glad,
some pent up anger.
And I don't want
I am glad that you hit on the fact that he can catch instead of Sissoko. Because that was the other point that I had.
Yeah.
As we learned, that's a very important part of the game.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to play a minor role. Basically, he's going to play what Sissoko was at the end of the year. That role. And hopefully he'll do better than Sissoko did.
We have to stop. We're starting to rant about the basketball team.
All right, let's transition
too
then.
deep. Yeah.
Over to football. I want to talk about some of the Michigan State 2025 football commits. Obviously, very, very early in the 2025 recruiting process here. But MSU does have 5 hard commits. Obviously, as we all know, that can change pretty quickly. When it comes to college football, nothing is set in stone until signing day, really. And even then, who knows what happens. Ranked number 50. Number 51 right now in the overall rank and the composite ranks on 247 Sports. They've signed a host of 3-star players, the top ranked of which would be Leo Hannon, quarterback, followed by Damari Malone, linebacker out of Tacoma, Macomb, Michigan.
Dakota.
Yes, Macomb, Dakota. Yep. Jace Clarizio, hometown kid out of East Lansing, a running back. Charles White, another Michigan guy out of Orchard Lake St. Mary's, and Emmett Bork, 3-star tight end out of Wisconsin. So I think pretty clearly just my initial thoughts, and then I will happily send it over to you too. Hitting Michigan hard. 3 out of the 5 players so far from Michigan, 4 out of the 5 in the Midwest. And then they have the quarterback Hannon coming out of Anaheim, California. This is something I like to see. I think it's something that Tucker maybe a blind spot or got away from recruiting the Midwest. You look in Coach John Smith has said this. You look back at the successful MSU teams, Michigan, Ohio, and I think Trev, you even mentioned that in one of your pieces that you wrote about the other day.
Was in
But
the
Trev,
Mangham piece, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
the Mangham
yes,
story. Yeah.
yep. Trev, give me your early thoughts. It's very early, and I don't know how much anyone has really seen on these kids, but
Right.
5 commitments in May. As of May 15th, not too bad.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts, Trev.
Yeah, like you said, going back to the roots, getting all those Midwest kids that, like I mentioned in my article, D'Antonio hit Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, all those areas hard with the guys that were getting overlooked by the Michigans and Ohio States, sometimes the Penn States, or even out of conference with the Notre Dame or something like that, and really grabbing those guys with the chips on his shoulder. Certainly seems like John Smith might be doing that right now, or at least starting to. What another thing that's kind of stands out is the length of these guys. I mean, everybody's over except for the running back. Everybody's over 6'2". I mean, you got a 6'2" linebacker, 6'3" linebacker. I don't think we've had too many of those. Hannon, the quarterback, is almost 6'4", and then the tight end 6'6". I mean, those are pretty big athletic guys. Then they got some visits coming up based on the On3 visit list that nobody huge, but I don't think the first year under new coaching staff you should expect like a huge splash or anything like that. You kind of got to make their way into that territory and kind of rebuild what used to be a pipeline for us, and just kind of if we suddenly have a great season, maybe it starts building a little more momentum. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see them do that, especially when Tucker had a very big national concentration when it came to recruiting, instead of taking what we've had success with in our own backyard.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
made
I
some great
agree.
points.
I agree. I think Tucker he really likes to recruit off of 247sports.com. Like they like to just star chase. Like we came in second from so many sick recruits, but if you look at them now, like I remember seeing
They're all
people entering the
transferring.
transfer portal who I remember us coming in second for, and it's like right now Jonathan Smith's hiring, dare I say, his kind of guys he wants. He doesn't want people renegotiating their contracts or whatever at the end of every season. He wants to build a cohesive team, and with like guys who, dare I say, grew up Michigan State fans, like some of these guys here, like he's recruiting them to play. Like they're going to actually play for the school, not just the shiny cars, like whatever. Just people who actually, we'll get into it later when we talk about the portal. People who actually want to be Spartans, and just
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think both of you, kind of to build off parts of what you both said. This recruiting class and the next are probably the 2 of the most important for Jonathan Smith. And in one aspect, these 3-star guys, these are obviously not the big names. A couple of them, Leo Hannon is ranked number 22 quarterback nationally. That's not too bad.
Yep.
But these are developmental guys, and that's the kind of the program that MSU has been and has success at. And with that, these 2 recruiting classes, his first one, his next one, I think are very important, because he has to rebuild the program. And like you said, Nick, we don't want guys, we don't want to be going after guys that are going to be, jumping ship after a year, looking for better NIL deals. We need to build a program that is going to sustain. You can deal with this roster turnover when you have a new coach coming in, but you don't want to deal with this every year. So we got to have a locker room of Spartans that to build off of, to supplement that from the transfer portal with other people. Obviously, you're going to have turnover here and there, Hopefully not like quite like this year. But with that, I think Jonathan Smith is building this the right way, or at least from what I've seen so far. And like you said, Nick, not renegotiating contracts. I think that's a big thing because you don't want people in the locker room saying, why is this freshman making more than a starting safety who's a senior and NIL? And then all of a sudden it's just, one O lineman makes more than the other O lineman wants to jump. You don't want to have that. You need a locker room, you need a cohesive unit, and that's where Jonathan Smith has to start. And then from there, you want to supplement it from the portal. When the team is coming off an 8-win season and they're 1 or 2 pieces away from being a 10 to 12-win team, and you want to supplement that piece from the portal, that's what we need. So hopefully more of this to come from Jonathan Smith. Obviously, I'm not going to say no to 4 stars or big name recruits, but obviously we want them to be Spartans, and I think that that's a big part of it in rebuilding this team.
Yeah, one thing too is, I mean, we're getting people are going to leave regardless. So I know some people's fear is we become a developmental program where we get a Keon Coleman situation. We develop them for 2 years, they leave. Like, yeah, that's going to happen sometimes, no matter what at this point. But sometimes they're going to stay. And with people, and you can also get, if you ever a good reputation of developing players, you can get like, let's say a 3rd-year guy who's like, I'm going to do 1 more year, but I need to develop a little bit more. Like, he'll transfer in his place. Like, maybe we'll start getting good guys transfer in to get developed by Hawkins or whoever the coach ends up being, whatever. But yeah,
Agreed.
so like we may lose some guys, but that's gonna happen regardless. But you can always get the portal, give and takes.
Yep. Yeah, it's the nature of college sports right now. The NIL and the portal has turned it into, or has added a more individual element to the team games, and that's just the reality that we're in.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And speaking of rants, I could go on all day about what NIL has done to college football and my thoughts on that, but I won't. Although I fear some of it may come out here as we transition into the next topic. Obviously, a lot going on with the transfer portal. And the spring window just closed a couple weeks ago or a week ago. And I think some surprising departures, some not so surprising departures, some meaningful ones, some not so meaningful ones. I think what stuck out to me was the last minute entering of the portal for some of the guys that had kind of been outspoken about how they want to stay, or that they convinced to come back, and now they're entering the portal at the last minute. Obviously, seems like there's some bad faith negotiations going on. Some guys wanted to get bigger NIL deals, and like you said, that's kind of just the nature of the game these days. But I do want to get into it because obviously I'm not going to ignore the fact that MSU has 38 players transferring, which I think that's, if you look at it from someone who doesn't really know what's going on in East Lansing and you're just a national writer trying to cover it, that seems like a lot, right? But you look at elsewhere, Alabama, like 30 plus players. So it's not like this is only happening in East Lansing. Our good friend of the Locked On Spartans podcast, Matt Sheehan, actually did a pretty good episode the other day about this. But Chris Hummer of CBS Sports did a winners and losers of the transfer portal, and he put MSU as a loser.
Was it just the spring portal, or was it the entire transfer portal?
It just says transfer portal winners and losers. And I think that it's the entire portal because he mentions Michigan State losing 39 players.
Okay.
So he has Michigan State as a loser, which right off the bat, I would argue against. I would say at worst, Michigan State probably comes out even. I would lean more towards winner. But, and again, this is a national writer, and Sheehan did a really good job of pointing this out. This guy is not knee deep in Michigan State football. He just probably saw 39 transfers and was like, oh, that's not good. So here's what he wrote. And the title of the article, by the way, College Football Transfer Portal, Winners and Losers, Miami Ignites, Michigan State Implodes. So maybe a little dramatic. Got
to write with flair. Yeah.
Michigan State lost several key players, including defensive tackles Derek Harmon and Simeon Barrow, affecting their depth and talent levels significantly. Spartans have a staggering 39 outgoing transfers. Unlike Colorado a season ago, they did not want to lose all those players. When Michigan State staff arrived in East Lansing in December, it successfully convinced 10 players to withdraw from the portal and stick with the Spartans. Fast forward to a few months, and 4 of those players ended up leaving during the spring anyway. Jonathan Smith has a serious rebuild on his hands, but the good news is he's done this before. So, right off the bat, my first thing is, okay, 39 players going out. let's look at the names of those 39 players. And again, I don't want to just repeat what Sheehan said, but like maybe 5, 6 of those were starters. Like when Sheehan was just ripping off the names, I was like, I couldn't even tell you some of these people. Like we're down to like our 5th running back transferring. Like that's not a key loss. Also, no mention of the fact of the incoming players like Childs, Velling,
Miller.
Tanner Miller, Luke Newman. So just totally ignoring the other side of it. So with that, I think the idea here is to kind of talk about the key losses, key additions. So I don't know, Nick, how do you want to do this? Do you want me to go down the list of who we lost? Is there some names that you just want to point out? You tell me.
Yeah,
I've got the list up now.
This is the list here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, how do we want to do this?
just talk notable names that are notable to you.
Notable names.
Yeah.
Save
what-
save the one we all are thinking of for last.
The most recent one.
The safety that is talking about maybe going to the other school.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so
Oh,
we're just talking.
Okay.
So we're just talking departures right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like you were saying, Winnie. I mean, my list. I'm looking at the ones we consider big losses, and I probably have like 5 or 6 players, and that's about it. So hold on. I'm getting to the I mean,
Actually, I got one pulled up.
you got one pulled up. Okay. I was
yeah,
just getting
so-
to the part. I was just getting to the part where it said outgoing because I was on the incoming part.
Okay.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were some people we didn't want to use. Like, let's go down the list quickly. Zion Young, you'd have been nice. Like, you'd have been nice to have.
Yeah. That's one I had on there.
But he was one
Obviously,
of those Tucker upside recruits. Like I don't know if necessarily he might have started.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm being
can't say
generous. I'm
for
being
sure.
generous. Like,
Yeah.
I think he played
Barrow-
well enough to warrant starting consideration if he had stayed. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like Simeon Barrow, obviously.
Yep.
Obviously Barrow, Harmon, Mangham.
Arrow and Harmon.
Yep.
Yeah.
We would prefer to not lose them. Vandenmark, I liked him at times last year, but like, I don't.
I had
care.
that
Like,
one as
I
a big
like how,
loss. Yeah.
like,
I mean, our line's so bad.
Yeah. Van
Crump-
Mark, biggest thing, Van Mark experience. I mean, that was probably the one thing our offensive line could have really used. But again, like looking at what we have, I don't know if I necessarily think that's a huge loss.
Yeah, I mean, we have Crump, who's most known for just swinging a helmet. into the right?
That's not
Like,
a big loss.
That's
The biggest hit he ever made was off the field.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, these guys, Hauser, leave it. Like, yeah, sure, might be good somewhere. Hauser, we had a year of Hauser. I think we've upgraded there. I think
Yeah.
most
Quarterback upgrade for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Ethan Boyd, I'm not so
Nah.
sure he would have started. I don't know.
Spencer
he
Brown.
was thinking about
Yeah.
quitting football. Like, I think
Yeah.
he got passed up. Like, he was legitimately got passed up. Berger, he left because we got Lynch Adams. So
Lynch Adams. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was pretty clear in the spring game that Berger was kind of on the outside looking in terms of the depth chart, especially when they were looking at other running backs. So again,
When Tullis got so many carries, especially.
Yeah. Diapape and Baijo were obviously the two highest rated recruits of the Tucker era, and they were.
Yeah, I think Job was the transfer for playing time type of deal.
Oh no, I know. I'm saying
absolutely.
I'm saying more like they were like we thought they might be good, but they were projects.
Mhm,
They were
mhm,
projects.
yeah,
Like they
yeah.
were good enough. Well, I know Diapape was hurt last year, but like they were good. Baijo was good enough to not be able to play on a team that won 4 games.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I mean, I wish him luck elsewhere, but who cares? Like, he's getting a fresh start somewhere. Diapape, again, he's never played a snap for us. So, like, good luck.
yeah,
Maybe he'll be
Yeah.
good one day. Hopefully, I hope he is.
yeah.
But
That's the thing. There's a lot of guys on here that never played a snap or like only played special teams and stuff like that. So
and it's like people are forgetting that we get players. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, like
it's
I'm
not a
looking
one-way
at-
transaction.
Yeah, I'm looking at like Malik Carr. Okay, he was good for 1 good game, and then like 5 games where
think
he
we
was
upgraded.
radio
Yeah.
silent, and we also upgraded with Velling. Yeah, like so then you start going down the list. So we've named kind of the main players. So like Harmon.
One thing I want to say before is in the article they say, unlike Colorado, Michigan State didn't want to lose these players.
Yeah.
We lost half of them like after Jonathan Smith said, "Oh, the spring game's over. I'm gonna have an individual meeting with every single player." So
Right.
literally he was telling them to leave. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
literally no, we did want almost all these people to leave.
Yeah. Like Jaron Mangham, I'm pretty sure they told him you will not see a lot of playing time. It's your
They took him off
last year
scholarship.
it's your last year of eligibility. Probably go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we're going down the list. So we have Harmon, Barrow, Mangum, Spencer Brown, Sam Leavitt. I'll throw in there, but again, I think we'd all rather have Childs over Leavitt.
Yeah.
Zion Young, maybe Terrell Henry, maybe a starter. Like then we get into guys like Malcolm Jones, probably not on the 2 deep. Yusuf
Yeah.
Abid, probably not on the 2 deep.
Definitely not on the 2 deep.
I don't know who
Jack
that is.
Nickel, tight end, probably not on the 2 deep. Drew Wilson, long snapper, probably not on the 2 deep. Davion Prim, probably our 4th or 5th running back. Sean Brown, probably not in the top 5, 6 cornerback rotation.
He was the guy at the Rutgers game who was by the
Yeah, guy stood there
yeah.
in front of the heater,
Nice.
didn't play a single snap. Was just sitting there in front of the heater, like taking away all the heat from the players that are actually playing. Eddie Pleasant 3, I don't know.
Ended up
to
at Buffalo. Yeah. He ended up at Buffalo.
Gautier, never played. Like just couldn't stay healthy. Never saw the field.
Big time recruit. Yep.
Yeah. Jalen Barberin, again, one of those Mel Tucker guys people talked about. Probably not seeing a lot of the field. Sebastian Brown doesn't even have a star next to his name. Evan Morris,
he was a walk-on,
tight
I
end.
think.
Yeah, Dre
Yeah.
Butler. So Kevin Wingington, Noah Kim, addition by subtraction. Keyshawn Blackstock, I don't think it was
forgot
ever
about
a
him.
great
He
fit.
didn't want to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, Pepper, long snapper, Jordan Simmons, another running back. And you look at where he's going to Akron. Christian
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick to Marshall.
Hauser.
Yeah, Hauser to East Carolina, Noah Kim to Coastal Carolina. These guys aren't going to
Yeah.
big name schools. Dre Butler's going to Charlotte. Sebastian Brown, Kent State. So, I think for someone to say MSU is imploding is a little overzealous. And look,
Yes.
knee-jerk reaction when I saw these people, especially like those guys that entered late, my knee-jerk reaction was, oh shit, like this is not good. Like who is going to play O-line for us? But it's like Nick said, we can get players too, and we've shown that. Today we got the big worm. We've got some other guys that fill out the defensive line. So I don't think all is falling in East Lansing. I actually think the team is probably better than it was. Let's not forget this team won 4 games last year and 5 the year before that. Like how important are these players that we are losing? How good can they really be?
Exactly. We were on downward trend. Now maybe a little positivity here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So a little perspective I think is always helpful, and time giving some time to let the dust settle. So with that, I think maybe a good transition here into who we got. Sorry, my dog barking.
We didn't talk much about Mangham.
Oh gosh, thank you,
Yeah,
Travis. So
yeah.
obviously, Jaden Mangham, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that this is a nothing burger of a loss, because I thought he made some good strides last year. Very physical player. Was not afraid to stick his nose in there and make tackles. But let's also, on the other side, is the defensive backfield that was awful against the pass. So obviously the big news there, considering a visit or is taking a visit to Michigan. And I will just kind of hold my thoughts here because I could go on all night. But I think Nikki wrote a really good piece. I don't know if it ever got published, but I'll let you guys kind of take the stage here. It's obvious, there's obvious reasons why this has Spartan fans stirred up, but Nikki, I'll let you take the floor and give us your thoughts on safety, thinking about going down the road.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, good for him. Like, I'm glad that he knows that. Look, if you're going to be a Spartan, you need to be going to sleep thinking about Michigan's demise. Like, That shit's, you get up in the morning. Oh, the sun's rise. I love my wife. I love my parents. I hate Michigan. Like, just if you're considering going to Michigan, like, especially after Jim Harbaugh called your team, wanted your teammates to go to jail, like, you're just not, you're just not a Spartan. Like, you just, like, it's just
Yeah.
mutually beneficial for both people to move on. And also doing it last second too, jumping in the portal last second. I love how Jonathan Smith basically just said, no, like, we'll find someone else. Like, what are we gonna win 7, 8 games this year? Maybe if we're lucky. Like, you're not worth keeping around if we are going to keep doing this. Like, we want people, we need to set a culture that says, no, you can't just renegotiate your contract. Deals are deals here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no one is too above, no one is too above, like, to just be able to do that shit.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the reactions of all the guys from the D'Antonio era going on Twitter too after that happened. And just we were monitoring that whole exchange with Mangham's brother, but but they were right. I mean, back then you wouldn't get anybody from that team really considering even joining those guys, and I mean that's basically what the article I wrote was about. Was you know he's well within his rights to transfer, but it just shows that the attitude and towards those rivalries and everything has completely changed and shifted during the D'Antonio or after during the Tucker era after the D'Antonio era. And I mean we need a bigger, I don't know, I mean the chip needs to go back on the shoulder is the best way to put it.
Yeah, look, people might
It's
say it's pathetic. Michigan State football is fueled off beating Michigan. That's how D'Antonio built it.
100%,
Before we
100%.
were winning championships, a successful season was beating Michigan. And guess what? We haven't won a championship in like 10 in almost 10 years. Let's go back to basics. Let's kill those fuckers. Like, I thought we had it too when we were fighting them in the tunnel. Like, obviously that probably wasn't the best way to do it, but like,
Yeah.
the fact that that can happen, you can just say, all right, like, I'm not doing it. And look, I get it. If they were offering Jarrett, like, if they're offering Mangham like a 3 times the salary, like for an NIL deal, sure, whatever. But like, they're definitely not doing that. Like, he's gonna probably be a backup there, and he was guaranteed a starting role here. Like, that's the big issue too. Like, he literally,
Yeah, yeah.
this move only really makes sense to say like fuck MSU. It seems.
And then
That's what I was just gonna say. Seems spiteful. It seems like there's
Yeah.
some drama with I don't know if it's related to his brother and the whole removing the scholarship. But just from what I've seen on the message board, it seems like the dad is upset about something. It's complicated. But it seems spiteful. I think Trev, you're absolutely right. He absolutely has the right to go transfer and play somewhere else. Especially given what the program has gone through in the past 12 months with the whole Mel Tucker thing and getting a new coach. This is not the coaching staff that recruited him to this team.
Yeah.
But to both of your points, the fact that you would consider going to Michigan is just so absurd to me. It doesn't even make
Asinine,
sense. It's outside of the realm of anything I would have thought I would ever see. I think the MSU fans' reaction is totally fine. Like, if you're going to take a visit to Michigan, you know what you're going to get. This is not this is not just some rivalry that we hate each other, and it's an ugly rivalry. I'll be the first to tell you I'm one of the worst about it. Like, it's like Nick said, like like wake up thinking about Michigan's demise, and that's what we need on our football team too. So the fact that someone would do that, I think the reaction from the former players tells you everything, and I think it's warranted. And the fact that his older brother was chiming in, it's just like, probably sit this one out. Like, just let Michigan State fans be mad. It's an ugly breakup, and that is what it is. That happens sometimes. But just the things that he ended up coming back with, it's like, just, man, you had to know this was coming. You don't just transfer from Michigan State, and then one of your first visits you announce is Miss Michigan, and you're just going to be like, oh, okay, well, good luck at Michigan, Jaden.
Yeah, like, I mean, put it this way, for like Southern fans to understand. If you're Auburn, you wouldn't be happy if your players were all leaving for Alabama.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
A
if
starting
you're
safety would
A&M,
be a backup safety.
yeah.
Right.
If you're A&M, you're not happy if all your players are leaving for Texas.
Right.
It's that same thing would go with Oklahoma there. And then you also have the fact that his quote about the transfer portal resurfaced either today or yesterday, or he said it's taking the easy way out.
Yeah.
And he would never do it. Well,
he
guess
was
what? You're taking.
he
What's
was
up,
like
Nick?
the SD Pharrell guy. Like he always posted, he always said that like John and him
Yeah.
doing the same might have been just when Jonathan Smith saying like you're a leader on this team, but like that's not the leadership we want. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna go.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
who
SD
knows? Like,
Pharrell
and we
is
have no
way
idea what
different.
happened.
Yeah.
We have no idea
Right.
what happened.
Yeah. He
The,
may
the
go.
SD.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the SD Pharrell mentality seems a lot different than the Spartan Dawg mentality too. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And gun to my head, I don't think he actually ends up going to Michigan, but it's like we
right.
talked about. The fact that you would even consider it is just,
It would be,
Unless
it'd
we're
be very
pushing
funny if
him
he went
there.
to like Mizzou.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And that's another thing, too, is that, I mean, this guy spent the whole offseason with Michigan State, all spring practices with Michigan State, like basically knows the entire new defense at this point, or at least the foundation of it. It's like to go to another school in conference, let alone the biggest rival. It's kind of just like, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me, you know.
Like what if Will Johnson went to Ohio State? I don't think Michigan fans would be happy.
Right. Yeah.
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 No question. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Sorry about having to leave there for a minute. My dog was going nuts. There's some commotion in the hallway. Let's get back on track here. I think we've got a good savant airing out of the Mangham situation. Going to the other side of the transfer portal, the incoming transfers. Let's talk about 39 going out. We've got 21 coming in. And I think some solid pieces. Obviously, we don't need to talk about Childs, Miller, Velling.
We can.
Well, yeah, we've already talked about those guys quite a bit, but those are the bigger names that everyone's aware of. Those are the big prime premier additions. But I think when you talk about some of the other additions, very good in terms of depth. And I think a lot of guys that will come over and really be useful players for us, especially in terms of experience. I mean, I think that some of my worry with the guys that we had outside of like Harmon and Barrow, there was the experience to begin with on the D line. I didn't really think it was that strong of a unit outside of those two to begin with. So losing them is just like we're taking one weakness and really just making it a little weaker. But seems like we picked up some good defensive linemen. Obviously, we got the big worm out of Oregon, played 10 games for them last year. But again, I think we all would say Childs and Velling are the two that we love that are coming in. Nikki, who else, that's coming in, are you excited about as we transition here to the incoming transfers?
So one kind of thing I like too. So I just saw this tweet. It says, our old line, Harmon, 1 year, Barrow, 1 year left, Tom C. Adelaide, forgot about him, 2 years left. So we lost them, and getting in their place, we're getting Ben Roberts with 3 years left, Daquan Dowse with 1 year left, Buckley with 2 years, and Satchel with 3 years. So we're getting guys.
Oh, we lost him.
And he's gone.
Okay. Kind of finish the thought there. We're getting guys that we can build and develop that can be around for another year or two or more. I think he hits the nail on the head there. This Ben Roberts out of Oregon, the big worm, very excited about that. Obviously, the D-line was a big-time position of
Huge.
need. Also bringing in Andrew Dennis on the O-line, a nice depth piece there. I think he's still technically a freshman. I think he committed and enrolled at Illinois early and obviously wanted out pretty quickly there. But he was a 4-star recruit. So coming home to Michigan State, we'll add a nice building block there to the offensive line. But another guy I feel like is not getting talked about quite enough is Luke Newman, transfer from Holy Cross. But another guy that offensive line, again, was going to be a big need for this team. So, anytime we can get any lineman that will come play here. We'll take him. Another guy, Jordan Turner from Wisconsin, filling
Big
out
Ten,
that
right?
linebacker
Yeah.
spot. Yep.
Yeah.
Trev, what about you? Any incoming guys that stick out to you?
Yeah, so I mean, to your point about Newman, I think the reason they're not really talking about it is because he wasn't there for spring.
Yeah.
That's it. He's probably going to be a starter on this team. Going back, defensive line was a huge need, and the trenches in general were a huge need. But I mean, we were going, I think either last week or the week before, we had 3 scholarship defensive linemen on our roster. So in that time, we've added 3 more. So we're deep again now. I think a couple guys that stood out in the spring game, even though I know it's a spring game, were Daquan Dowse and Quadarius Dunnigan, the 2 guys that transferred in on that D line. They have position flexibility to play the D tackle and the D end, so that works in there nicely. And then you mentioned Dennis, but then there's also the corner, the defensive backs that they just pulled in with Cavazos and Ed Woods, who could both have. I believe they both have multiple years of eligibility left, and they can both step in and fill in some of those spots on the pass defense, which has been absolutely terrible for the past 4 years and can go nowhere but up. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And Ed Woods, I think, was highly sought after too. So I think he's going to bring be a nice piece for that defensive backfield. Obviously,
yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry, you hear good things about Wayne Matthews, that linebacker from Old Dominion too.
I was
So,
gonna bring that up.
another one. Yeah.
Childs said in an interview that like he's been one of the players that stood out to him the most so far at camp.
Oh, that. Yeah. Sorry, Wayne.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, it's all right. And what I was going to say is K'Ron Lynch Adams looks like he'll slide right into that back or that second running back spot. Obviously, a lot of good things being said about him out of Massachusetts. There was another name that I just scrolled by. No, Wayne Matthews. That was the one Nicky just said. Where you, Trev's, both said. And I think also not enough is being talked about the players we kept. I mean, I think when we all went into this with Jonathan Smith, we all said Jordan Hall, you got to make sure he stays. He stayed. Malik Spencer, Dylan Tatum, all hanging around. Jalen Thompson, another guy that I think could be a big player for us at defensive end. A lot of good things being said about him. Charles Brantley, he's kind of in and out every year. But good to see him back. Chris Bogle, Darius Snow, guys that have been solid players. Antonio Gates Jr., I'm glad that he stuck around. I was hoping that he would. I'm excited to see what he can still bring to the table. Hopefully they can get him involved this year. And then incoming freshman, Nick Marsh, obviously a big player. So I said this before and I'll say it again. I think the roster is actually a better spot than it was at this time last year.
Yeah, I can agree with that, especially depth wise and from what you know of the players that have experience.
Yeah, agreed. I think that 4.5 over under is too low, but that's probably a discussion for a little further down the road. Transitioning out of Michigan State football, anything else you guys want to touch on portal wise before we move on?
I know we have a crystal ball in for, I want to say his name's Jalen Minor.
Oh, the Indiana DB?
Kobe Minor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
then we're also
we
going
got-
after a guy from LSU who's played every game as a true freshman. So also a corner.
Also corner. Nice.
But yeah, I mean, we've got some good guys. We got Ed Woods. Like we've upgraded. We've been really doing work on our secondary, which I mean, that needed some work.
Quite a bit, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like maybe getting new players will actually make our secondary not one of the worst in the country.
Yeah, it's almost like, did you
Fourth
watch
year
Michigan
ago.
State football last year? Like,
Or the year
It's-
before, or the year before.
Yeah.
Bags fly free. Yeah.
It's like Mesmer always said, like there's just guys running down the middle of the field with no one within 30 yards
yeah.
of them. Like I'd never seen this before. Like
That's
they
one thing.
cannot stop the pass.
That's one thing I wanted to see at the spring game. Like one of our big problems last year was the linebackers running down the seams with guys and just getting absolutely murdered by like 30 yards. And, I want to see if those guys are fast enough to keep up with them and actually cover something down the field.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's going to be another long year.
That is for certain. I think the talent that we're bringing back, is going to be helpful, especially some of those guys like Jordan Hall, Malik Spencer, Dylan Tatum. I think another year under their belt. Defense really should be upgraded. New defensive coordinator, obviously Rossi coming over from Minnesota. Very interested to see what he brings to the table and what he can do with some of these guys. But with that said, let's jump.
Play.
Yeah. Let's jump over to pro football really quickly. I know it's a Michigan State Spartan show, but obviously we're all huge Lions fans, and with the Lions being back in but really in Super Bowl contention for the first time in our lives, hard not to talk about. A couple things. We'll start with the Goff contract. Just announced yesterday that Jared Goff and the Lions agreed to a 4-year extension, 173 or 170 guaranteed, basically, up to $212 million. Nikki, I'll start with you. Obviously, I think we're all in favor of this, but Nikki, give me your thoughts on the Goff extension.
Another case of people just liking to complain.
Unbelievable.
People will say, well, what's Goff without a supporting cast? Well, like they're not going anywhere. We have them.
Yeah, we paid them.
Like we basically, one thing I really like about it too is, again, if there were 3 guys you want to lock down to say, hey, this is win now mode. We are putting all of our money, we're putting all our chips in the next 4 years. You 3 are going to lead us to a Super Bowl, or you will not be on this team anymore and we are starting fresh. It would be Goff, Amon-Ra, and Penei Sewell.
Yep.
I think those are the big 3 like guys who I think you would have to go to. Like we basically just admitted we are in win now mode. It is time. Everything less than 1 Super Bowl in 4 years is a failure. Jared Goff, you will not be our quarterback if you don't do that. And I think that's basically what this is saying. Like,
yeah.
Like Jared Goff's legacy is these next 4 years. His entire career is going to be defined off these next 4 years.
Yeah. I don't think that's incorrect. And I think they're paying him like a top 5 quarterback. And if you look at the stats since 2022, he's top 5 in most of the main quarterbacks, the categories that you would assess a quarterback off of, he's top 5 in. And I really don't think he has to be he doesn't have to do anything he hasn't done before to earn this contract. If we get the Jared Goff that we got last year and at the second half of the 2022 season, he'll earn every penny of that contract. So,
yep.
Trev, any additional thoughts on the Goff side of things?
I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head, but one thing I will add, and it sounds kind of lazy, but it's, in this day and age with quarterback contracts, the highest paid quarterback is the next one up. So the way he's played compared to what it would be to break in a rookie or something like that, which was probably what the only other option would be, would just be insane. And he's earned that contract with what he's done since he's come to Detroit. So I mean, it's the best quarterback that's up for an extension next. It's going to screw Dallas with Dak Prescott, but I kind of like that. I like that aspect of it too.
Could you imagine if Goff walked? If we just didn't pay him that. That would be.
That would just be bad for both sides.
I wouldn't have left my house.
Yeah.
No, the Lions did really good. I think anyone that's complaining needs to be brought out back and
they're casuals.
Yeah, having a serious talk. You don't get a good deal on a quarterback. Not one that's worth signing. You're not going to get,
not
Jared
one
Goff
that took you to an NFC Championship.
Yeah, you're not going to get a hometown discount, on a top 5 quarterback in today's NFL. You know, and the Lions, they got a good deal. I mean, it's 4 years also. It's not like we're locked in for 10, you know, 8 or 9 years. You
Yeah.
know, this is 4 years, and we'll see where we stand after that. Jumping over to the schedule, the Lions schedule was released or leaked. I don't know when the official schedule comes out, but we have a good idea of
It's
the
released. It's
schedule.
official.
It's official. Okay.
It's official. Yeah.
So my first thoughts, knee jerk looking at it was the amount of nationally televised games. Some serious primetime spots. I think there was five. Sunday Night Football to start off against the Rams, Monday Night Football Week 4 against the Seahawks, Houston Sunday Night Football Week 10, Green Bay obviously Thanksgiving, Thursday Night Football. Oh no, I'm sorry, Chicago Thanksgiving,
Chicago's
and
Thanksgiving.
then Green
Yeah.
Bay Thursday Night Football the next week. And then San Francisco Monday Night Football in a championship or NFC Championship rematch. I think a very doable schedule. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Travis, any knee-jerk reactions to the schedule for the Lions?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for one thing, now that we mentioned the San Francisco game, I don't like that game being so close to the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah,
I get the preparation part, but I mean, there's a chance that both of us could have had could I reasonably have it clinched by then. So why force it so late? Also, I mean, Nikki and I will like this one because we we could conceivably go to the game again at the Cowboys, but why are we always at Dallas? Like
that's a good
they
point.
never come to Detroit.
Yeah, that's a good
They
point.
never. The scheduling formula is supposed to be like with NFC teams, you play a certain division every few years, and that's one set of rotation between home and away, and then the other one is you play the teams in the other divisions that finished in the same spot as you, and that's supposed to rotate on a different cycle, home and away. But no matter which way we end up playing them, it always ends up being at Jerry World for some reason.
Yeah, that's a good
No
point.
idea why. No, I mean, it's interesting. Anyway, but I love Rams opener is going to be tough, but I love the amount of primetime games we have, nationally televised games. As someone who's been a Lions fan, lived out of state for the last 20 years, it's freaking fantastic. I get to watch them. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's without having to pay for all that Sunday ticket and all that bullshit. So that's awesome. Tough back end of the schedule with Buffalo and San Francisco, and then at Chicago in the middle of December.
Yeah,
But
This is honestly just a pretty hard
it's-
schedule.
I agree. It starts off fairly easy, but at Green Bay, at Houston, week 9 and 10, that's tough.
I mean, the Rams and the Bucks, they were the two teams we played in the playoffs. Like, they're
yeah,
still
yeah.
like decent enough teams.
Yeah, I agree. But you never the NFL, they're all decent enough. The bye week 5, that's an early bye week.
Early.
Yeah, that's gonna be this weeks 6 through 18 is gonna be a long stretch of football.
You also you get three home games in the first four, and then four of your next five are on the road.
That's tough.
That's rough.
We've really got to go like 4-1 the first before the bye week.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
5-0.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, let's not forget the Lions are a very good football team.
Yeah.
So,
This ain't the Jim Schwartz era.
no, yeah, and I think to your point, Trev, Minnesota late. Hopefully, hopefully that is a game. I mean, it's double-edged sword, right? It's like NFC Championship rematch. You want it to be a big-time game, but on the other side of it, it's like hopefully they do both have the playoffs locked up, or at least the Lions do, and then they don't have to really. Maybe you can even rest some
Right.
starters, God forbid, or they don't have to show the whole playbook. They can kind of,
Like a
if it's not a
preseason
game they
thing.
have to win, they can kind of, run a muted offense. But a doable schedule.
Sucks for Monday Night Football if they have to do
Yeah,
that. But
yeah. Or it could be a really big game that both teams need to win if there's a
Yeah,
number 1 seed on the line. But let's not get too far ahead.
I'm
of
already
ourselves.
stressing out, man. Come on.
I know.
Could you?
I know.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna annoy you guys.
Yeah,
How
talk to
annoying would 0-1 be if you lost to the Rams?
I would lose sleep for a week.
Yeah. I mean, the people will go crazy.
I'd be
People
married
will
for
lose their
one day
minds.
and I'd be like unable to sleep
That's right. That's right around your wedding. Oh,
Well, I think it's the day after, actually.
yeah,
it is.
yeah, that's what I meant. You know.
That would really suck a lot of joy out of it.
Details.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll be all right. Okay, I think that brings us to Miss the Vis.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Miss the Vis.
And I think Nikki is running the show this evening.
Yes. I have 10 questions, 10 games. So it's games that we upset a ranked opponent. And I'm going to say the year, the ranking, and if you want the score, and you're going to have to guess the team.
It's all football.
All football.
Okay, gotcha.
So you're gonna
All
say
right.
the ranking of the opponent that we beat.
The
And
year.
he has to guess the year, and he has to guess.
I have to guess what the
who
team
that
was.
team is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll throw
like
the
it.
score in there too.
I like it.
Okay. This will be interesting.
All right. So this one, I'll start with an easier one. 2015, Michigan State upset the number 3 team on the road 17-14.
Oh, that's Ohio State.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. 2018, Michigan State upset this team 21-17. The 17th team of the country.
Penn State.
That is correct.
It's the old Felton Davis, Brian Lewerke drive.
Yep.
That's a good one.
That was a great one. God, I love Felton Davis.
The last time we felt great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kenneth Walker. But anyway, 1990.
Yeah.
1990, Michigan. 1990, we beat this team, the number 1 team in the country, 28-27.
That was Michigan.
It was. I also
Yeah.
said Michigan.
Yeah, you also said, yeah, I knew what game you were talking about when you tried to read the question.
All
that
right.
was that was their phantom PI call or whatever the hell you want.
Yes.
They wanted PI and it wasn't called.
That was a pre-birth one for us.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
2011, Michigan State upsets the number 4 team in the country, 37-31.
Wisconsin.
That is correct. 2005, Michigan State upsets the number 10 team in the country, 44-41.
5. Wow. Okay. 24, 41, 2005.
I think. I have the answers, but I'm not looking.
He gave you the answers. Okay. Trying to think of one that would have been that nice scoring. Notre Dame?
Yep. Nice.
Okay.
Wow, nice one.
Okay, this one. All right, this one. 2013, Michigan State upset the number 21 team in the country, 29-6.
2013. What number team was it?
Number 21.
No. 2013. 29.
29-6.
So that would have been the Rose Bowl year. I have a guess, but I don't feel like it's right.
What is it? You gotta guess something.
No, I'm gonna say Michigan. I don't.
Yep, that's right.
It
That's
was.
right.
I don't feel like they should have been.
29-6. That's an iconic score.
I know, but I don't feel like they should have been ranked.
Yeah, no, that
That's-
was a
that-
very
that's-
that was a
that's
very
my
exposing
point,
game
yeah.
for them.
Yeah,
All right, this one.
yeah, that was a game we had a great time at.
Yeah, this one. I feel like if I say the year, so this. I won't say the year because it it'd be confusing to give it away. But this game, Michigan State beat the number 5 team in the country. It was when we were in school, and we beat them 42-41.
What year was this?
It was when we.
won't
If I
see-
say the year, it gives it away.
Oh, what was the rank?
They were the
Five.
number 5 team, 42-41.
42,
When we were in
41.
school. This was like this one's kind of cheating. This one because we did upset them, but we were also highly ranked.
42, 41. I don't think I'm going to get this without the year.
So it was the 2014 season. 2014-2015 season, our junior year.
Oh, I know it.
Oh, okay. It's the Baylor game, isn't it?
Yeah. So because it
Yeah,
technically was in
yeah,
2015, so I had a weird time telling you the year. Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
Baylor.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I was
Next
thinking regular
one.
season. That's why.
Yeah. See, I was trying to throw you off. All right, so there are 3 left. 2017, Michigan State beat the number 7 team 14-10.
Oh, that's Michigan.
Yep. I can't believe they're
Good,
ranked number
good.
7. That
Yeah.
was a great game.
The rain. We won because of the rain. Trust me.
Oh yeah, it was only raining when MSU hit
It
the
was
ball.
the rain. Yeah.
Willie
No, it
and
was
I
only
were at
raining
that
when Michigan
game.
had the ball. Yeah.
We were fucking drenched.
Drenched.
That was one of the best games I've ever been to, though. That and
Battle
the
wounds.
2014
Yeah.
game. All right, so next one. 2017, Michigan State upset the number 7 team in the country, 27-24.
Oh, we've already.
What was
Yeah,
the
I
rank?
don't know. Number 7.
In 2017.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna go with Iowa.
Penn State.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, we already covered 2017 Penn State.
That was 2018 Penn State.
That's what was throwing me off. Okay. I
And now
could
the last
swear you-
one. Sorry, yeah. No, it was 2018. It was 2 years in a row. So it's just crazy to me how high Penn State
No,
is.
it's just I could swear you said 2017
Oh,
before.
sorry.
That's what was throwing me off. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
No worries. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
give
that's
that one.
wrong.
I'll give that one a
No,
mulligan.
that's a wrong. Yeah.
And now the last one, 2020, Michigan State upset the number 10 team in the country, 29-20. COVID year, 2020. Not
Yeah,
many
yeah.
wins to choose from.
Yeah, so that would have, well, yeah, we have 2 wins to choose from. That would have been the Northwestern one.
I thought I could bet
Because
you
the
in
Mi-
the same
the-
Michigan.
No, the Michigan score was like 27-24 or something like that.
Yeah. All right, so
27-20,
you got
27-24. I
you got
9
9 out of 10
Yeah, I got a
correct.
9.
That's
Yeah.
good because you were confused.
I can live with that. Yeah, I can live with
Yeah,
that.
you can live another day.
That's-
Like that's fine. You're
That's one
allowed.
I'm not going to beat myself up over.
Not bad, Travi.
Nice.
All
Oh,
right.
dear.
Well, until next time.
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast, and just like and subscribe because we would definitely appreciate it and could use the likes and subscriptions to keep moving this thing along a little bit.
Very good. Well, with that, until next time, Spartans fans, for Nick and Travis, of course, I'm Willie. We'll see you next time. Go green.
Go
What?
white.